When buying new cars, you can find the invoice price to help you negotiate the new car. But what about used cars? There is no invoice price. Or is there? I also noticed that most people don't like negotiating or haggling. I've had people on my channel comment and say, I'd rather pay thousands more than be uncomfortable haggling. I'm going to show you the easiest way to buy a used car while protecting you from more negative equity. Remember, the more you pay today will be negative equity tomorrow. So the truth is, used car invoice value is the black book value, as you see here, blackbook.com. Luckily for us, we don't need to get the exact black book value. You know it's less than Kelley Blue Book value. So really just use a tool like Kelley Blue Book here. I have never, ever in my life seen a dealership pay more than Kelley Blue Book trade-in value. It doesn't happen unless it's some weird deal. And this is sort of the invoice price that we're going to use to determine how you start your negotiations from the bottom up. Let's take this 2024 Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek Edition, $38,698. So if you don't want to call the dealer and you want to just kind of save some time, on a vehicle like this, the trade-in value on Kelley Blue Book, it is $32,500 to $35,000 is the trade-in value. If everything checks out, the highest value they're likely going to give anyone on this would be $34,000 or $35,000. And when you look at what this is listed at, $38,698. So you know they have some wiggle room in there. Almost guaranteed you can get probably 10%, maybe even 15% off of this price. Another thing to look at is this price history right here. Listed 20 days ago, so this car was just listed. They're probably not going to be as willing to negotiate on it as if they had the car maybe in November or October or a little bit earlier. Now, that's not some massive price reduction, but it shows that they're trying to get some traction on this and they're probably not getting a lot of calls. Let's look at another example. This 2023 Nissan Altima 2.5 SL, 15,000 miles. They want $25,377. So we are going to grab this VIN. Then it's pretty simple. Just plug the VIN into Kelley Blue Book to find your car's value. Okay, and on this Altima, you'll see that the highest trade-in value that anyone is probably going to receive would be $22,529. Dealers are going to say, well, we have to look at black book or wholesale value, and black book and wholesale is always lower than this value. Always, always, always lower than this trade-in range. Always. So if we go back to the price here, $25,377, I know for a fact that I am not going to walk out of that dealership giving them more than maybe $22,500 for that car. Would be the maximum I would give. That's just me personally, knowing what the trade-in value is and seeing what they're listing it for. They're always going to be, seems like $5,000 to $7,000 over what they paid. We're in a buyer's market now in 2025, so you're in the driver's seat now. We have stock on almost everything. New car prices are coming down, which is really, really good for used car prices. When new car prices come down, and new car incentives happen like they are now, lots of interest incentives, lots of cashback offers from manufacturers, that means we are in the driver's seat as buyers. And you'll see the same thing here with this Altima, the price history. It was listed 39 days ago. They've reduced the price $2,426. So they had it listed way high, way overvalued, and now they're bringing it back down to earth. And you'll see that average market range and average market price is around 24.7. So you know you've got wiggle room in this. So always, always, always look at this, research the trade-in value of vehicles before you actually go buy the vehicle or go set foot in the dealership. So let's go through a scenario here. You want this Altima, you're obviously not going to pay $25,377. You don't want to negotiate from the top down, from their price down. You want to negotiate from your price or the bottom price up. So what you want to do, the first thing you can do is either email them or call them with a value in mind, and the value you're going to provide them, the first value, is going to be super low. It's going to be something that they say, no, they can't do that. And that's fine. You're just going to work up from there. So this is where you take control of the deal. To take control of the deal, you want to remember this value in your head, that if you turned around, if you bought this car at the dealership today, and you turned around and tried to trade this in, they're not going to give you more than $20,000. It would be very rare to see them do that. So knowing that, why would you ever pay $25,000, $26,000 plus tax and fees and dealer handling? To protect yourself from negative equity, have this price in your head. If I buy this car and something happens and I had to turn around and sell the car in a month, that's all I'm getting for it. So remember that. we're going to take this value 21,514 and we're going to offer that value. So if you're using a website like cars.com, you can plug in your information in this form. So I would type something like this up. Hi, I'm very interested in your Nissan Altima. However, the most I can afford is 21,500. Please let me know if you'd consider this. Thank you. Notice I'm just being nice. It's very short and it's very concise, and I'm saying that's the most I can afford. So they're going to bring their value down. Now, they're not going to give me this value, but we're going to send this off and see how it goes. So you'll notice that I focus on the bottom dollar price I want to pay, and I'm not focusing on all of the crazy fees that dealers try to add into the transaction. So there are two schools of thought here. You can either attack the fees and try to get every fee reduced, or you can do what I've been doing. Here are some common fees that dealers charge that you can either negotiate down to a lower price or just completely get removed. So number one is the vehicle preparation fee. If you see this, it is entirely negotiable and you do not have to pay this. Next thing would be dealer add-ons like VIN etching or anti-theft things. Now, they may have added these to the vehicle, but a VIN etching kit usually costs $20, and to dealerships, they probably don't even pay that. For that, you could negotiate it down to something reasonable. Extended warranties. This actually, in my opinion, depends on the vehicle you're buying. Now, if you were looking at a 2022 Toyota Tundra with all sorts of engine problems that could potentially happen after warranty, this might actually be a vehicle you'd want to research an extended warranty on. However, I've never purchased an extended warranty, mostly because the cars that I research are reliable cars. And gap insurance, this is one that I think if you negotiate the deal properly and you're getting a fair price for the vehicle based on looking at the trade-in value and based on reducing that initial cost of the vehicle, I don't think you should really need gap insurance. If you truly need gap insurance, you're probably overpaying for the vehicle. Of course, advertising fees, don't pay. And of course, the last one might be like a market adjustment. I would never pay a market adjustment fee. This is what we saw during 2021 period. A lot of this happened, and it should not be happening any longer. If you see a market adjustment, I would not even stick around at that dealer. Now for the unavoidable or non-negotiable fees, tax, title, license, you're going to pay that regardless of where you go. Just double check the documentation fee. Make sure it's not $800 or something. The destination fee is also not negotiable. Something else I think that can save you time and maybe have less haggling going on. There are two different types of dealers. One is a dealer that is going to allow you to haggle, and they tend to set their prices a little bit higher than other dealers. The second type of dealer seems to be these one price or no haggle type dealers. And those are dealers like AutoNation, Champ, Echo Park, all of these dealers that don't allow you to haggle or don't want you to haggle. There's an advantage. It saves you time and you don't have to haggle all these prices down. Here's another example of a high price on a vehicle versus a low price with the essentially the same year, same trim. 2022 Nissan Altima SV has 24,000 miles. They want 22,585. This dealer does allow you to haggle, so maybe you could haggle them down $3,000 or $4,000 and feel good about the deal. To go back to the example of Echo Park, there's the same exact year, 2022 Nissan Altima 2.5 SV, 12,000 miles, so half the mileage for less money in 19.4. You really need to just pay attention to the difference between dealerships that don't allow you to haggle and they tend to charge a lower price up front versus the ones that do. So when you start searching, let's take this same example we've been working with, this Nissan Altima. You can see here that there are only 2 300ZXs, 4 350Zs, and 8 370Zs for sale. So obviously those cars probably aren't going to be as easy to negotiate on. Now the Altimas, there's 158 for sale. So once you get maybe 100 and above or even 50 and above within like a 50-mile radius, you tend to have a lot more negotiating power at that point. Supply and demand. There are also certain cases where supply and demand is tough to figure out, like this 4Runner. So I've chosen minimum year of 2010. I want it to have 150,000 miles or less, and then a clean title, and I have 259 matches. That seems like a lot, but as everybody knows, 4Runners tend to be extremely high priced for the mileage. So you've got a 2010 15-year-old vehicle with 140,000 almost, $17,000. So that's not a great price. Some Toyotas tend to hold their value to a ridiculous level, and the 4Runners right now just happen to be way overvalued. Every time you see a high number, a high supply number, you're not always going to get a bargain. Just keep that in mind.